Meanwhile, Taiwan's president has confirmed a small number of U.S. troops are in Taiwan, on the island, training Taiwanese troops, saying that the threat from Beijing is increasing every day. Joining me right now is retired two-star Marine Corps General and National Defense Industrial Association Chairman, General Arnold Punaro. General, thanks very much for being here. We so appreciate you and your service to this great country. Thank you, sir.
Maria, privileged to be with you this morning.
You have written a book. You are the author of the book, The Ever-Shrinking Fighting Force. General, I want to ask you about what's happening in terms of the U.S. versus China. You heard what General Mark Milley said. How do you see this threat from the CCP, which makes no secret of the fact that it wants to undermine and replace the United States as the #1 superpower?
Maria, bullseye, and we should be more than concerned about the recent development in China with their demonstration of the ability to put a hypersonic glide missile, potentially with a nuclear warhead. It's clearly a game changer. It's worse than a Sputnik moment. Sputnik was a benign satellite that demonstrated limited technical capability by the then Soviet Union. You have to put this in the broader context that you just described. You've been the leader in pointing out for some time, China's on the mark, militarily, economically, diplomatically, and even scarier, technologically. They're way ahead of us in terms of hypersonic missiles, but they're also ahead of us in technologies that are not just important to our military, but important to our economy and our competitive position in the world. 5G, quantum, artificial intelligence. I could tick off 7 or 8 of them. This development is a game changer because it can put at risk a lot of the investment we've made in our own defense force structure, turn those things into museum pieces. It's also a game changer because it crosses a Rubicon of weaponizing space. Trillions of dollars of the U.S. economy depends on our assured access to space, and we cannot let this stand. So it's worse, in my judgment, than a Sputnik moment, and you're absolutely right. There was a book written about the Japanese surprise attack at Pearl Harbor called At Dawn We Slept, and it pointed out all the signs that we should have picked up on. You pointed out, others have pointed out, China is very bold and accurate about what they're saying they're going to do, and they're doing it. So they quadruple their military and things like that. We should be very concerned.
Yeah, well, I have been very concerned for several years now. I'm happy to see now more in the media recognizing this incredible threat. It's unfortunate that the Biden administration is not recognizing it, or certainly not showing that it recognizes it. President Biden continues to call China a competitor. It's not a competitor. It's an adversary. We all know that. And even the fact that it's gotten as strong as it has gotten from the with its Navy being larger than the U.S. Navy, much of it is coming to China from theft. They've been stealing our secrets now for decades. And frankly, it's quite rich to see Mark Milley call this a Sputnik moment when it was him who actually called his counterpart in China and said, if anything happens, we'll give you the heads up first. I mean, you know, why is he calling, you know, his counterpart in China and giving them a heads up on anything the U.S. is doing, knowing that they are beating us already and they're about to invade Taiwan, if you believe many experts? Do you expect an invasion sooner rather than later, sir?
Maria, I think to answer both of your excellent points, number one, I think we have to consider China as an adversary. We also can't play kissy face with countries like China because of what they said they want to do, which is to take over the Western democracies and be the dominant power in the world. And even past administrations, a lot of administrations have talked about the pivot to the Pacific. The problem is we've not put our deeds where our words are. So we've talked a good game. Our force structure in the Pacific of the U.S. military is roughly the same as it was in the year 2000. And China has, as you said, their Navy's larger than ours. They've also quadrupled their land-based capability on Taiwan. I think it's a positive development that we're doing training with Taiwan. I think we need to make an unambiguous, clear statement that if China moves on Taiwan, we're going to defend them, we're going to help them. Let's get around the ambiguity in the Taiwan Relations Act because it sends a signal to the rest of the world. China needs to understand hypersonic missiles, we're going to match them, we're going to deter them, but we need to do more. We should do more training with Taiwan. We should do training in the air. We should do training in the sea. We should send a signal that we're there.
I'd love to see that, but as you know, General, we're only getting ambiguity from this White House. Jen Psaki the other day refused to actually say that the U.S. would back Taiwan in such a situation. She said policy hasn't changed, and that policy, as you correctly note, is just that the U.S. would arm Taiwan, not necessarily protect it from an invasion. But, you know, I don't understand why it's been so difficult for this administration to come up with some serious policy against China being this bad actor. We just roll over when it comes to Huawei. We just sent the CFO back to China. She was under house arrest in Canada. And then, of course, there's all these policy mistakes in Afghanistan. What's your take here? Because senior Pentagon officials are saying that the Islamic State in Afghanistan could have the capability to attack the United States in 6 months and is intending to do so. All that as al-Qaeda could potentially have similar capabilities in 1 to 2 years, General. We know that this week the Taliban met with the CCP. So you've got the CCP, China backing the Taliban. They want those rare earth minerals in Afghanistan. And you've got, you know, the botched withdrawal where Americans are still there in Afghanistan.
Maria, we've learned the hard way that these terrorist organizations reconstitute themselves and rebuild their capability faster than we always predict. So we should basically eternal vigilance here. They're going to build their capability back faster than they're predicting right now. Number two, there's over-the-horizon capability is no substitute for boots on the ground. We should have covert actions going on in Afghanistan now in the federal administered tribal areas of Pakistan. Pakistan it speaks with forked tongues. They're supporting the Taliban. They're going to support the rebuild up of these terrorist organizations, even while they claim they want to be helpful to the United States. So we should be very worried about this and do what we need to do to basically preempt any basic terrorist activities against our country. But we should not be looking at this through rose-colored glasses anymore.
Yeah. You would think so, right, General? Unfortunately, there's not a dime of an increase in defense spending in Biden's budget. They just had a hearing yesterday, and the Democrats had all of the intelligence executive, the officials in to testify in a public hearing, and the Democrats asked them about diversity. If not for the Republicans, they wouldn't even have talked about China. General, it's good to see you. We so appreciate your time, and please know that we will keep a spotlight on all of this, sir.